What's going on, fellow park enthusiasts? This is the Park Geeks, and after quite a hiatus, we are back.
Woohoo!
Yes, it's been a while, but we had we got a chance to do some things that we've been wanting to talk about. Some that are even that we did a video on. One of them being the Universal's great movie Escape. This was a lot of fun to do because, for one thing, a lot of us here, except for Kurt, have done escape rooms, but this one was set up a little bit different because it was you're guaranteed to escape, but you get oh wait, says does anyone else hear an echo?
No, I'm good.
I can faintly hear something.
I hear something very, very faint. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay,
I'll just
edit that part. Okay, but anyway, and if you saw the video, thank you very much for checking it out. But now we are going into spoiler territory. So there's your warning there for everyone else. This is spoiler territory. And for this one, the Jurassic World one, that was more of a touch-based system. Like, a lot of it was done through, like, touch screens and computers, which I will say definitely made it feel a bit more futuristic. What about for you, Daniel? Because, like I said in the video, you're kind of the enthusiast here when it comes to escape rooms.
Man, where to begin with that room? But yeah, to call the high-tech room is absolutely quite accurate. I don't think there was a single physical lock, but there was physical switches that we will pull and turn. So I do appreciate that for evolving the escape room formula. And I think it did a pretty good job in variety of the puzzles in that room. It was definitely very different from the Back to the Future room, for sure, and I do appreciate that. So, yeah, overall, I was surprised by a lot of elements in the room. Some things were a bit more difficult than the others, but with our group size, I think we went with the right group and the right mindset and the right set of players. And even for people that really aren't into the whole escape room biz, I think it's definitely a good starting point for them. So I had fun overall. Can't really complain with what happened in that room. And the room actually made things very tense. It got a little hairy a couple times. And it just made me wonder how they will translate that for future rooms. So, overall, I mean, I had a great time with you. I think the more I think back on it, the more I actually enjoyed it. So, yeah, so that's my current 2 cents on it.
Yeah, what about with you, Kirk? Because, again, you've never really done an escape room before.
no, not of this scale. I haven't. I thought it was a fantastic experience. It certainly, I thought it's great for my first time through. You know, we had a good group there going through. You know, we solved just about everything, and I like the fact that there's multiple, the way it's staged with multiple segments, because every 10 minutes there's something totally new you have to go and accomplish. And I thought that was great. You know, that kept it fresh and interesting. There's always there's another whole. You do the challenges in one room, and there's a whole new set of challenges in the next room. And I thought that was just a great way to organize it. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. You know, I look forward to them adding more. You know, I wish they could add expand the building somehow and put 2 more in. You know, I want to go back. I seriously want to go back. But I want a new experience. So I don't just want to repeat the old ones.
Agreed.
So I want them to go do something new now.
But we still have to get the high score. That's the thing, though. We have to get into that green zone.
Oh man, there's one room that's
So we
make
do
that
have an
very
excuse
difficult.
to go back.
Yep.
What about you, Ron? Because you actually did do that particular room before.
Myself?
Yeah.
When I did the room, it was very, very, very fun. Like I said, very interactive, a lot of elements, trying to figure things out. The one room I had the most difficulties, and when I mean difficulty, we didn't even pass it, was the one where you're in the tunnel and you're trying to figure out the train or the monorail
Really, that was
thing.
your hardest one.
Oh yeah.
Because we were trying to just figure out what we were supposed to do, in the sense like what we were supposed to press.
Yeah. That one was a little vague. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember
we worked it out though.
Yeah, I remember the room we had the most difficulty with was one where you're in some well, granted you're basically always in an office, but still everyone was stationed at these computers, and we had to send like I guess the proper signal or the people to the right places.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
have to like mix and match like certain passwords and usernames
Right.
or screen characters, whatever. That one we had the most trouble with. Like I don't think we even finished
Yeah.
that room.
We
No,
weren't nearly done.
Yeah, that was difficult. It was not. It was difficult to understand what you're supposed to do, and then it was difficult to do it.
Yeah, it was a little bit too high tech for its own good. So many screens to look at, and
Yeah, it wasn't that. Just the instructions just weren't clear. You know, I mean, I know that they don't want to tell you too much because they want you to figure it out, but you've got to get enough, you know, to see what's going on.
Yeah, the one room though that I was surprised that we figured out was the circuit breaker room, because I mean, if you've ever seen like circuit breakers or at least electrical engineering in any capacity, they have all these little symbols that you're supposed to like figure out what they mean and what they go for. And the whole time I am cranking this thing to keep the light going.
Hey,
on, yeah.
that was an important role, man. Don't kid yourself. We needed you.
Hey, I've been working out.
There you go.
Yeah.
There is such
So,
thing as the muscle in these rooms, so you were the muscle
The
there.
lights on.
So I was surprised that we actually figured that one out because, like I said, you got to figure out what all these things mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it wasn't too bad. They had the schematic diagrams on the wall there. So you just had to you had to say, okay, this means this, and this refers to that over there. Okay, and it was pretty straightforward after that.
And I also like the fact that there was a dinosaur chasing you throughout the rooms. Like every time you think you made progress, you can hear him coming up right behind you.
Yeah, that incubator room is probably my favorite of the whole experience. Like, I just think that was the most well coordinated.
With the DNA sequencing?
No. Like where you have to keep the reactor cold as we extract the embryos.
No, that's
Yeah,
the one
because that was
I'm
actually
talking
lifted. That was lifted like straight from the first movie too, because that's
That was
what
the
Wayne
coolest
Knight
one.
had to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was really cool.
and so
Mhm.
yeah, it really felt like you were in that scene from the movie.
Yeah, we needed the can of shaving cream though.
Yeah, that's the one thing. Like we should have like a little
Believe-
vending machine. Just put it in there, and then we put it in like a vacuum slot or something.
Right, or something.
Yeah.
When I actually met Wayne Knight, I think he actually was selling cans of Barbasol signed at his table.
Oh, good.
or at least like the label so he can wrap it around and like
It was
like,
the
put
label.
his signature.
Universal actually sells a replica prop of that, don't they?
I think
yeah.
so. 'Cause I think I saw it before.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they
And-
said he should be signing those. He signed the replica prop.
And speaking of Wayne Knight, I can confirm that he has done the Jurassic Park River Adventure ride. I can
Right.
confirm that. I asked him.
Good for him.
But the other thing, though, and I did see some people talk, like not in our group, but other people who went through this particular room, was by the second room is when you're introduced to a dinosaur, and a lot of people were bummed out that it was a screen. It was not
Right.
a practical dinosaur. But honestly, should we really be surprised at this point?
Animatronics be expensive. Just go ask Disney how much they blow their budget on animatronics.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it looks good, and considering it's an escape room, and they could have even gone way cheaper and just have a statue that wasn't moving, like some other escape rooms. Because like you said, one, it costs a lot of money for an animatronic. But even if they had an animatronic, the issue then becomes if the animatronic doesn't work, what do you got to do?
You gotta have a
And
B
then
mode.
you constantly have B mode. So just cut the middleman and just have I don't want to say B mode, but just have the screen, because you then can change up what happens with the Raptor more often.
Yeah, like, believe me, I get it, practical versus digital. I understand that completely. At the same time, like, have you ever seen the bill for these things? I mean, I can only imagine what it was like being there on set when they were making the movie, looking up at this giant T-Rex or whatever dinosaur they were going after. I understand that. But we're talking about a theme park here.
Mhm.
They don't have, I mean, granted, one that's related to movies, but it's still, I mean, it's not so much a fully functional movie studio that much these days.
Yeah,
So,
it's grown
yeah.
so much bigger.
Yeah, so of course, yeah, they're not going to be able to afford it. Now, that being said, you do get surprised at the very end with a real dinosaur. Granted, it didn't move very much, but the eye was kind of looking around saying, okay, who's here?
Yeah, jump
It was,
scare.
it was nice.
Yeah,
It
what
was
did
nice.
what did you guys think of that?
I thought it was a nice little finale. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect him to do anything. So the fact that it was there at all, I thought was nice.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a fitting end with the nice, calm little tram ride that kind of cool you down after that. But I kind of wish there were more elements of that, but that would probably make it a bit too scary in a room that shouldn't be as scary. Um, but yeah, it fit the vibe of the movie very much.
yeah, would you guys say that it got your adrenaline pumping, your blood pumping, like oh my god, we got to get out of here?
A couple rooms were that like that, yeah. Um, I was more like excited to see the next puzzle rather than trying to escape, but it's supposed to be an escape adventure, so yeah, I think for that room I felt very very on edge. I'm like, oh great, I think we should probably get out of here before we get jump scared again or something.
Like I get it, we're adults and we're all jaded by our age and what we now know. But even then, I still want to get lost in the idea that yeah, I'm actually at the theme park and we're trying to escape from dinosaurs. So
Yeah.
that so overall, like your final thoughts on if you had to put on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, how would you rate the Jurassic World escape room?
Who wants to go first?
Who wants to go first?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, I'll go
wait,
first. I'll go first. I would rate it at maybe I would say an 8 to an 8.5 because there were some, like I said, there were some puzzles that we did get mixed up on. The instructions weren't clear enough. And not to mention, we forgot to put this in the video, but the woman who's kind of like your host, who's kind of like guiding you from room to room, she did not really get into the role. She just kind of felt
Yeah, you're
like
right.
hi, and thank you for joining us here at Jurassic World. We hope you enjoy working with us this for the rest of your lives. Yeah, that kind of like corporate boss, like AI voice,
Mm-hmm.
and because with the other one for Back to the Future, which we'll talk about soon, uh, like we're going through like all of this, our lives are on the line, and she's acting so nonchalant about it.
I guess her life is on the line, right? It's up to you. You figure it out.
So, so yeah, I would have to rate that based off just the experience because I'm not including the movies in this.
Yeah.
So just off the experience, I have to give it an 8 out of 10.
I think it's a pretty fair score, and honestly, I think initially may have given it a 7 out of 10, but thinking more about it, I think 8 out of 10 is very fitting, just because of the amount of stuff we had to do. And there were some mechanical puzzles in there, like that circuit breaker puzzle was great. It felt like everything we're doing had a purpose and fit the scope of the movie. And it was good just to have the little tension moments too, just to make to really sell that you were there. There were some rooms that were just weird, like the figuring out what terminal we had to stop at with the monorail. I think that was kind of a dumb room, but outside of that, pretty solid. I would definitely do it again and see if we can get closer to that perfect score.
Kurt, what say you?
Yeah, well, I don't really have anything to compare it against, so it's kind of difficult to rate it. But I guess like 8 or 9 out of 10, I guess is what I'd have to say. I mean, they certainly put a lot of money and effort into setting the whole thing up, and you can just see that in the quality. The only reason I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 is a few of the rooms, it was a little unclear as to what you're supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of held everything up. You're kind of trying to understand the instructions before you can do what it is you have to do, and the clock is ticking the whole time. It's kind of like, okay, that was a little bit, it kind of that detracted a little bit, I think, but overall, I think it's very good, certainly.
Raul, what say you?
for Jurassic Park, I would say I have to give it a solid 8, maybe 8.5, just because like I did have a lot of fun. Some of the puzzles were kind of confusing, especially I will say the puzzle with trying to feed the raptor, because you're trying to figure out, okay, I need this and this. Okay, mix
Mhm.
it in. Like it was confusing trying to figure out the right mixtures and stuff for
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
raptor feeding. But I still give it an A. I do want to do it again. I feel like this time I know better. So hopefully I
Yeah, I'm
can
surprised
actually.
we actually got that feeding room because
It took a
when I was
while.
first hearing the instruction, yeah, when I was first hearing the instructions, I'm like, wait, what? I
Yeah,
don't get
that
it.
was weird. That was weird.
But somehow our group figured it out. So way to
Yeah.
go.
We
It
we
wasn't
That's it.
me.
we had a good mix of vets in there. Like it was just obviously you guys are new to it, but we also have Brian in the room.
Mhm.
Our good friend Brian. He's him and Matt were just killing it in some of those rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now, but for our headliner, the Back to the Future room, because that one was more practical. Like you were actually holding real locks and keys in your hands.
Right.
Uh, you actually had to. There was like no like touch screen monitors there. Like everything was practical, just like how a lot of the effects in the movie were practical. And the other thing they did that I really liked is that it felt like you were floating in the background of the events of the movie while it was going on. So like you're trying to set up the stage for that dance before the band, like right before the band comes on,
Yeah.
and we actually had to sing into the microphone.
Right.
Oh
That
my
was funny.
gosh. Yeah.
But
That's cool.
and they had one puzzle in there that was my favorite because it's one of those things where you go, why didn't I think of that? Where it took place in a diner, and like how a lot of people would do, they would spit their gum out and place it under the table,
Yeah.
and you actually have to get under the table, see, and apparently someone is reading off a arcade cabinet that says like enter password, and you look under the table and you see these numbers, and you put your thumb on the number, fold your hand around to the table, and what letter it
Right.
lands on is the code. I'm like, that is brilliant.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought to look under the table. They did give you the clue though. There was
Yeah.
something a sign that said when you clean up, be sure to clean under the table or get the
Right.
gum under
Very
the table.
subtle.
Yeah, they gave you that clue, but I don't know if I would have gotten that if I was there on my own.
I can tell you for a fact that's a trope in a lot of rooms. You got to look under things, under rugs, under tables.
Really?
It's all fair game. Like they're not gonna make you reach up, but you still may have to get on your knees and sometimes take the extra step. Or in some rooms, like stick your hand in something and like feel out a code or something. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can
and
get
also
really cool.
also yeah, also in that room we had to form like a human chain to get the power
Yeah,
across.
Yes.
Yeah.
that was like Raul. Did you have like a favorite room in that house? Raul,
Sorry, what?
He's,
did you have a favorite room in the Back to the Future movie escape?
The clock tower.
The finale.
Yes,
that was
the
hard.
finale. Yeah, and
Although
here go ahead, Raul.
I was gonna say the Biff Tannen room was also pretty cool.
Oh, the
Yeah,
alternate
like
1985.
I
yeah,
like that one.
the production in those rooms were fantastic. Again, it felt like you were in the movie. And not only that, but also going to the clock tower, what Raul was talking about. Here's a little behind the scenes thing that you may not know. Uh, it got down like to the last second, and we
Literally.
had to plug, yeah, like literally plug the two cables in. And here's the thing, I actually missed the cable input. However, the light inside the cord activated. So while we got the failed ending, the staff said, "No, you got it. Okay, you got the high score on that one."
We got it. 16 out of 16 puzzles complete. It was a good feeling.
but I but I still want to go back and do it just so I can see see what the host would have said if for the good ending.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's also
Wait,
one of the rooms where it got better as it went along. Like I wasn't a big fan of the Wild West room. That took a while to get going, and the inputs were really annoying. But as we progressed, it's like okay, I'm getting the
Yeah,
nostalgia here. This is great.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
because for the wild
the diner and setting up for the band, that was kind of those rooms were pretty good.
Hmm.
Yeah, and for the Wild West, like this is where we actually had trouble, people, is that you are given like this cylinder that has like all these rings around it that have like letters on it. It's supposed to spell something out. And we had the lock solved. We knew what the answer was, but we just could not get this damn thing open. And we're kind of like look at the ceiling and go, guys, like, look, we have it solved, but it's not opening. And someone had to get on the intercom and go, just jerk it around a little bit. It should pop open.
That's what they're there for.
But sure
Things
enough,
break. Yeah.
but sure enough, it did release and we were able to advance. But so when it came to the oh, and here's the other thing too, is that Christopher Lloyd is actually in it, or at least his voice is.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
So
silhouette.
that
that
was a
is
lot of
him.
mm-hmm. And going back to the host for this one, the host for this one felt more invested in it. Like she's like, you know, making sure like you guys are doing okay, that you're advancing properly, like everything's getting solved. Like she it kind of felt like she was rooting you on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
So-
absolutely did, and I really like the amount of detail. There's just so many Easter eggs in in every room, alluding to the movies. Even the answers, which we're not going to spoil here, they're just direct movie references, and it's great. Especially in the '80s
so-
cafe.
Yes. So for the Back to the Future room, or is there anything that you guys would like to comment on before we give our final score on that?
No, I think I pretty much covered it. I mean, I think I think I preferred that the Back to the Future one more than the Jurassic Park one, just because the variety of sets you go through. You go through all these different time periods. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's why. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no puzzle ever felt the same.
Yeah.
I like the sheer variety. Whereas in Jurassic World, we did many different types of puzzles, but it was still, all kind of confined to a screen. I like when we can marry the concepts of both screen and practical things to make something shine. So that arcade cabinet and the way it hooked up to the rest of that room, or other examples, or even in the Ultra 1985 room, just seeing all the displays come together and using little lasers and lights. That's really cool. They certainly took a lot of good inspirations from some of the great rooms we have here in Orlando, and yeah, just can't sing this praises enough for this room.
Yeah, that's why
Very good.
for me, I have to give the Back to the Future room a 9 out of 10. What would have made it perfect is if they had a reference to the old to the old Back to the Future ride. If they had that, solid 10 out of 10.
They needed a DeLorean. That needed to be one of the stages.
Yeah,
they
what
should-
did they...
you get to drive the DeLorean.
Yeah, you're actually bringing up a good point. Like, how could they not have a DeLorean? Okay, so what about for you guys, your final score?
Yeah, I think I agree. I give that one a 9 out of 10. I think.
9.5.
Yeah,
The extra half point, okay.
it's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
give the extra half point just for the nostalgia factor. Yes, I've been through better escape rooms, but just with Universal's property and the way they treated it, it's a big love letter. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they were able to pretty much get the same feel you get from the attraction here on this escape room, and it's certainly gonna be a fan favorite. And I hope it just translates to bigger and better rooms down the line.
Yep, I
Yeah,
definitely
these are-
want to do more.
Yeah, this is definitely a great addition to everything that Universal has to offer. I would highly recommend it for anybody, and I hope they do more because these were just a blast.
Yeah.
But speaking of blast, we actually also have Halloween Horror Nights coming up here soon,
Yeah.
and which is we all look forward to every year. But this one seems to be getting pretty big because Raul, you said that they sold out of like frequent fear passes.
No, okay, so if you're
With
not
Express.
familiar with Horror Nights, there's 4 tiers. There's Ultimate, Frequent Fear Plus, Frequent Fear, and then Rush of Fear.
Rush of Fear. Yeah.
Ultimate is of course every night. Frequent Fear Plus is pretty much every night except Saturday. And then the other one is Sunday to Thursday, excluding Friday and Saturdays. And then Rush, which is the lowest tier, I believe, if I remember correctly, without looking at, the website, everything, it's the first 2 weekends, and I believe the third week it gives you Sunday and Wednesday. It has the least amount of days.
Right.
That's usually like the first like 2 weeks of the event. That's what usually a lot of people get that one.
I thought it was
Right.
the
And
first
then
month, not
It,
the,
it gives you most of September, I think.
yeah.
yeah, I can't remember the top of my head, but there's something like that. Yeah, it includes the least amount of days. Of course, that's why that one is the cheapest. But the ones that are sold out is the top two, but not the regular ones. It is the ones that include Express Pass for the event. Those two are apparently sold out. They might, of course, open up more as the event itself gets closer, because sometimes for different
Yeah.
events from different parks, they'll hold a certain amount of tickets until the day of the event. Again, that's my
Although, I
assumption.
mean, so this speaks a lot of volumes to just how many people go to this thing.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, yeah, why wouldn't you? I mean, we've been to it many times. It's a blast. It's a ton of fun. Even on the years where it's not that good, it's still fun. But it does speak to, you know, crowd control, because I know, Kurt, like you said, you were saying that they got to do something about all this.
Yeah, well, it's they've, in my opinion, in the past, they've oversold the express passes. So the express wasn't the experience that I think, in my opinion, it should have been. Some of the lines still got too long on some nights. So this might be, this might be them doing something about that. Not selling as many express passes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not only that, but also just aren't they doing some sort of like new thing where you could actually go through the houses like during the day?
I mean, that's been going on for years. It's called Unmasking the Horror. That is a product from the VIP tours department, where you basically get behind the scenes of 3 house or 6 house, depending on which tour you get. To give you an example, during the year of Beetlejuice and Hill House, like those houses, the 10, the 6, for example, they included it, I believe, was Hill House and some of the other ones. I can't remember the names of that year. And then the other 3 house, of course, usually are always the original houses, like 3 of the original houses of whatever year. And there's always one house that's never included. That year it was Beetlejuice. That was not part of the tour, regardless it was 3 house or 6 house. And then it just depends on what house there is that year. But most of the time, there's always one house that they won't include. So the 3 house tour is 3 houses, and then the 6 house tour the other one. So it just depends on what house is that year. But there's usually always one that is not included because of either copyright or IP or anything like that.
I definitely want to do one of those at some point. It's just kind of hard for me with all the PTO and time I'd have to schedule out for it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you need a park ticket for that as well, just to be able.
I believe you don't for the unmasking tour, because usually the way that one works, you meet with your tour before before the park opens, because they will be walking you through the park, and then they let you leave the property.
Oh wow.
All right.
Yeah, because
I would have to
I'm a very
double.
behind because I'm a very behind the scenes guy. I love seeing how all this stuff works. So I've been wanting to do that for some time, and now that I'm full time, I can now afford it. But Kurt, have you ever done one of these like VIP things for Horror Nights?
Not Halloween Horror Nights. No. I've done. We had something like that at not Scary Farm one year. But
Mhm.
they had I'm in the roller coaster club as well, and they had the roller coaster club down for a preview on one of the early nights, and they finished dinner at Mrs. Knott's Chicken Restaurant, which was great, and then they took us back for a behind the scenes walkthrough of a couple of the mazes, before the event opened. That was kind of fun.
Mhm.
Okay,
Uh,
so I have here a description. For example, Exclusive behind the scenes access to 3 or 6 houses in a light on informational walking tour once per house based on itinerary. Exclusive access to photograph select rooms of the house itself. So depending on which rooms are permitted, you'll get photos. You can take photos inside of the house. And it says here theme park and or Halloween Horror Night event admissions is not included and not required to participate in the tour.
That's great.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, I do know with some of the VIP packages that some of them actually do not come with a ticket to Horror Nights, which I think is a little shitty. And not only that, but the only thing they really seem to do is just they feed you and you get front of the line access. Now,
Yeah.
sure, I like skipping the line too, but in my opinion, that's not worth it. Not that kind of
It
money, no.
it depends on the person because here's the thing. You could, for example, if you're a normal person or normal guest, however you want to like put it, you go inside the whole event. Even on, let's say, a non-busy day, you could be waiting close to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour on most of these houses, unless you get there, early for stay and scream. And even then, you might not get to all 10 houses, enjoy the food and drinks and
Yep.
shopping and everything. With the tour, of course, you get a buffet of food. You get a private access to several like lounges, or you can get drinks, whether it's alcoholic or non-alcoholic. And then, like you said, it gets front of the line access for all the rides, all the shows. And so
Yep.
then once you're done with the tour, if you have an early enough tour, you can then get express for all the rides, do the houses on your own time to maybe see things you didn't see the first time. But at least then you did all the houses. You can then just repeat the houses you want, and you did everything within 4 hours, compared to with 4 hours maybe only doing 3 houses out of 10.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
for a lot of people,
if you don't have the rip, it takes you all night to do everything, even with Express.
Yep. We.
and some people can handle it. I mean, not saying they can't handle it, but it's just hard, especially parents, even grandparents that will come to the event, and even people in their mid 20s and stuff. It's a lot, especially if they haven't done this event before, and even people who have. It can be a lot, especially waiting in those long lines, zigzagging, wanting to get food, like something to eat because you're hungry, drinks and everything. Like it's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I remember the days before I got the frequent fear in the Express, because I was too new. I didn't know the event very well. I just bought a one night ticket. And boy, that was exhausting because you're standing
Oh yeah.
the entire night. You never if you want to see everything, you're never going to sit down. So you're on your feet for at least 8 hours constantly, and mostly it's just standing still in line.
And
Yeah.
unless you have a annual pass for the event, like realistically to do everything in one night, it's gonna take you from early park admission opening till park close to even try to get everything done, and that's
Yep.
on a non-busy day,
That right.
realistically.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, they actually raised the prices of Scream Early. So instead of $40, it's now $55.
I believe it. Well, like I know a lot of people are upset about the rise in ticket costs for not just Universal and Horror Nights, but even for Disney. And look, I do get it, but I'm still going to be fair here. Inflation is not helping.
Yeah. You're right.
I mean, I know we all want to get mad, like and get pissed off at the big company, the big corporate, but there are other factors involved here, and inflation, I know, is not helping matters at all.
I will say in this case of inflation, there's some aspects of inflation that certain things have gone down comparatively for over the last few years. I'm not saying it's not in the same levels as some years before, but also, of course, especially with theme parks, you have rising costs of keeping up rides and all this other stuff and everything, and of course, there's a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
happening in
But
general.
But let's go ahead and go over the houses here. As always, they start off with the ones that are based off popular IPs. And for starting off, we have A Quiet Place. Now, I saw the first movie. What about the rest of you guys?
I've
I have-
seen now the entire series.
Wow.
I have not seen any of the movies.
I have not, but I'm well aware of the premise. and I think I've seen like some clips from the movie that definitely look pretty scary. So I do wonder
Yeah.
how they're gonna factor in maybe like noise triggers or something for scares in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna. I've never seen a Halloween Horror Nights house that's quiet. I don't know.
Yeah.
How, that's like an oxymoron. They are anything but quiet. I don't know how they're gonna do this. I'm not sure what to expect with this one. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what they're gonna do with that. There's
Yeah.
no such thing as a quiet Halloween Horror Nights house.
Never.
Yeah, it's very interesting because the whole idea is that you have to be quiet, according in the movies and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting if they like make this house where you have to be quiet. Like, but the thing is, people. I'm
People
gonna
are
be
gonna be
honest,
screaming.
people.
They're gonna be
Yeah, people are gonna be screaming.
Exactly.
They're not gonna
I
be
mean, people.
quiet.
I mean, even if veterans like us can stay quiet throughout it, the other people, the group ahead of you and the group behind you, that they're not going to stay quiet. There's gonna be people screaming every 5 seconds.
if if they do this the way I think they're going to do, and they do it smart, they will. It's not going to be great for waiting in line, but
Yep.
it could be great experience for the house where they pulse people. So let's say you're a group of 4, you go first. You give it 2 minutes or a minute, and
Not even a
then another
minute.
group in.
More like
Wow.
15
But
seconds.
No, but
So
you know what I
so-
mean. Like
So no conga line is what you're saying.
basically, yeah. What I'm trying to say is having no real conga line. Like give enough room per group to go into the houses. If
Man,
they do it like how realistically you want to make this house, because otherwise it's just going to be another house. You go in, there's a lot noises and stuff,
yeah.
and the monsters will come out, because otherwise, like, how
Yeah,
else
I
are you
know.
going to make quiet place?
But what's that going to do to throughput though? I mean, you're going to get if you wait 2 minutes, that's going to drive the number of people who go through down by like a factor of 100.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that in the movie, again, at least the first movie, is because these aliens, they will attack anything that makes noise. Everyone throughout the movie, communicates like through sign language. So what I'm wondering is, while you're going through the house, are they going to be trying doing like signing to you, or like how like signs were now saying?
I don't know.
It could
And
very
just-
well be. Mhm.
Yeah,
The thing I
and
wish.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I find it interesting. According to the blog here, it says that there is based off the films of Quiet Place 1 and Part 2, when they literally just had Day 1 come out recently, and I feel like Day 1 would have been a perfect version of the house, because you're still learning the rules. You don't know how everything
Yeah.
works. That one could have worked in the sense that you don't have to wonder, are they gonna make it quiet or anything like that, because this one is saying
Yeah.
it's based off Part 1, Part 2.
Yeah. Well, I'm certainly interested to see what they're going to do here. This could be really different if they
And
can
the other
pull
thing-
this off somehow.
And the other thing too, again, Kurt, since you haven't seen the movie, is that again in the first film it's focused on this family, and there's only one place that's around them locally where they actually can talk, and it's by a waterfall, because the sound of the water running covers up their voices. So I'm wondering if they're going to have a scene like that in there.
I'm sure
Realistic.
I'm sure you can mess around with sound misdirection, just to really divert your attention before a scare comes. Depending on the sharpness of the speakers and other stimuli, I mean, it could very well be the case. You could also have noisy sensors, like like a pressure plate on the floor that people step on every so often, which can like trigger something and just really spook you. So I know that was the case in like a Blumhouse room, where you step on something and something else would activate. So we'll see. I mean, I think this could be a very creative. Not just it doesn't have to be highlights of the movie. It could just be them experimenting with sound, and I hope they do, because the cooler the tech can get, the better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it's successful.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Next, we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. This one I am really curious to see, because while I wasn't there the first time they had Ghostbusters, I never saw the original movies as something that I thought was appropriate for Halloween Horror Nights, because they're too much like comedies. I mean, good comedies. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, it was fun though. I saw the Ghostbusters house they had at Hollywood, at Universal Hollywood, a couple of years ago, and it was really fun.
Oh,
They
really?
it had some scares, and it had all the callbacks you want to see in the movie. They had all that stuff. They had the characters, and they had it was fun in places. It was funny in places. It was scary. My only complaint about that one is the climax scene where they're fighting the Marshmallow Man wasn't done as well as it could have been. It was kind of it was static figures and stuff. It wasn't all that interesting. That needed that needed to be something else. They needed live actors, playing the Ghostbusters.
In
But they
the
had
Orlando version.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Raul.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say in the Orlando version, they actually have live actors at the end. It's covered
Okay,
in
good.
marshmallows and everything.
Oh, good. Yeah, even better.
But these newer Ghostbusters movies, and Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers pointed this out. He says they feel more like episodes of Stranger Things. Now he is right. However, I do think that was the right move to make, just because the 2016 movie like really made the fandom really just
Yep.
pissed off.
Yeah.
And yeah, and to just try to make another one that's meant to be this sci-fi comedy, I think would be doing would feel a bit dishonest. Like really, like we just like you guys just attacked us and you expect us to go along with this.
Yeah.
So because everyone's a bit on edge, I think making it more like Stranger Things was the right move to make, and because of that, it's now more fitting for horror nights. And with Frozen Empire, Kurt, I know you and I saw it. I'm pretty sure Raul did. Did you see it, Daniel?
I did.
I did see it. Thankfully, I did see it.
Okay. Okay. This one I'm curious about, just because there's not a lot of settings for horror or at least Frozen horror. Like there's the Thing and maybe that house they did with the Yeti, but that's about it. No one really equates.
I'm hoping this house they really crank the AC up
Yep.
on this one to make it really cold in there, because I remember they did a lot. Actually, one of the first ones I ever went to. Unfortunately, I can't remember what movie IP it was, but it's a horror movie I hadn't seen. Which I don't see a lot of horror movies. That's not surprising, but it took place in the wintertime. You enter through a winter scene with there actually it's fake snow coming down. You threw it into a mansion, wintertime, and it was freezing cold in there. I didn't know they could crank the AC that high. It was absolutely shivering cold, because especially since you're coming in from the hot, humid Orlando air outside.
Yep.
And you're in the queue line. You step into the soundstage where the AC is on max, and I was literally shivering. It was so cold, and it was great because it totally set the mood that you're okay. We're in this. It set the whole scene. You're in this mansion in the wintertime and stuff, and it was a great experience. I'm hoping they do that. I want that house to be frigidly cold throughout the whole thing.
Oh wait, I think that was Krampus. I think it was Krampus.
It wasn't Krampus. I would remember Krampus. It was some other movie. But anyway, but the thing I want to look for, it says it in the description here. It says that he freezes people solid before your eyes.
Yep.
So I want to see what they're going to do there. I hope it's not just screens. I hope it's some kind of practical effect that looks pretty decent. I mean, I know it's not going to be guests getting frozen. I know that. It's going to be, the scare actors and something. But I hope there's a good practical effect. I hope that looks cool. I want that to look cool.
Like I love the monster design for the creature of Frozen Empire. I forgot the name they gave it.
Garaka.
Garaka, yeah. I like the whole creature design. Also, some of the ghosts they had for Frozen Empire. Because I saw the Afterlife, and I'm not gonna lie, I saw it with my family, and in the theater we had a lot of fun. And I'm not gonna lie, the ending got emotional on me.
Yeah.
Because the fact that even though it was ironically it was Ivan Reitman as kind of like the body, and then using the facial reconstruction of photos and past footage of Harold Ramis, you had technically all original Ghostbusters together one last time.
Yeah.
And in the sense of all the original crew, and and also I had loved the granddaughter and the family aspect, because it was Jason Reitman who directed this movie, the son of Ivan Reitman, and he's done a lot of personal films like Juno, Up in the Air. So the fact that he got to direct this movie, I was very happy. And then, like I said, the ending got emotional, so I was very excited for this continuation of Frozen Empire.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. We miss you,
I
Harold.
Hmm.
I will say it was, for me. I don't know. Like, I have a hard time saying if it was better than Afterlife in certain ways, but I did enjoy that the fact that the original monster wasn't Gozer again.
Right.
You know, it wasn't, and also they didn't try to do the where they brought the what's the name of the bad guy from Ghostbusters 2?
Cool.
The one, no, the one in the painting.
Oh yeah, what's his name? I can't remember.
Victor, or it was something like that. I'm just
Vigo,
glad
was
that
it
Something because
Vigo? Was it
Vigo.
Vigo?
Vigo,
Vigo
the
something or other.
Carpathian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, Vigo
something
the
like
because
that.
they could
Carpathian.
have easily
Yeah.
done, like, for example, it made sense for Afterlife to bring Gozer back. You know, it's kind of like a soft reboot, so
Right.
that made sense. And I'm just glad they didn't do the, oh, let's just bring Vigo back for the second one because it's back in New York. Why not? And bring him back. It's a whole new monster, whole new story,
Yeah.
and you have a firebender in there.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a little weird. But
Love that
okay.
whole little plot point. That was funny.
So this is what I'm hoping to see. Number one, what you said, Kurt, about the whole frozen freezing people solid. I want to see that. The second
Yeah.
is I want to see the tiny Stay Puft Marshmallow Men
Yeah.
get like being happy that they're getting like frozen or fired, burned alive, or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Okay.
I want to see that, and also I want to see some kind of a tribute to Harold Ramis.
Hmm.
That's what I would like to see because they put it in the movies, and I'd be really curious to see if they can pull it off in here. Just something because it's pretty clear how much Ghostbusters means to people, and even after 2016, I remember my friend Jeff said, with Afterlife, it set the meter back to zero. Like after 2016, like the love for the Ghostbusters IP was at -1, but then Afterlife, okay, it's back to zero. Let's see what you can do, and if they just, I want them to continue those tributes to Harold Ramis, and like you, Raul, I too got emotional when that scene happened at the very end. I even
Oh yeah.
remember when Bill Murray said sorry to the ghost. You knew that had a deeper meaning because they butted heads quite a bit.
Hmm.
So yeah, this one I have a lot of hopes for, and not to mention also because Universal, had a Ghostbusters attraction too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's
It's
move
gonna
it on.
it's gonna be a headliner. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hope it's good.
Okay, Insidious: The Further. Now, I've only seen maybe the first, possibly the second Insidious movie, uh, but it's been so long that I don't remember it. Dave, you guys remember this movie?
Just the
I've
ads for it.
seen, yes,
Just the ads for
I've
it.
seen one, two, three. I did not see the one that was called Last Keys. But I did see the Red Door, which is the most recent one, directed by Patrick Wilson. Yeah, Patrick Wilson. And fun fact, he also sings the ending song that's in that movie with the lead singer from Ghost.
Ooh, Tobias Ford, or I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Papa Emeritus.
yeah, Papa Emeritus. I believe it's his band. It's the band Ghost. Ghost
Yep,
singing
very
the
familiar
song,
with
and it's
those.
featuring Patrick Wilson. I will say this might be like a amalgamation of all the different ghosts from the different movies, um, or it could be based more on the last movie. But I will say that the last movie I was kind of disappointed. But do you want a quick synopsis of what the story is?
Yeah, just make it. Yeah, go ahead, make it quick.
Okay, basically, there is the mortal world, and then there's a place called the Further, which is where undead spirits lay, but it's not like, for example, normal ghosts. Is basically more demonic. You got the one that's called the Darth Maul. In the movie, it's like lipstick face. There's the black lady, not black lady, but like lady in black gown, like in a waiting outfit or a widow. And
Hmm.
there's a bunch of different other monsters. There's one that has like keys on his fingers, and there's different ones in each of the movies. And basically, this one guy um, and his son are able to kind of go between the world, then here, and then basically the further. But if you're not careful in the further, you can die there, or one of the demons can actually possess your body, and then your soul itself is trapped within the further.
Hmm.
And something cool, real quick, is that in the further, time is not relevant in the sense that, for example, you could be right now and then go into the further, and you can actually go into the past and be, in a way, haunting yourself in your old room, and then
Mhm.
go into different points. So there's no time. It's not exactly
It's not linear.
move. It's not linear, basically. Yeah. So you can be going to different points within the further.
Mhm. Yeah, so for this house, because I don't remember the movies, I'm not sure what to expect. I mean, perhaps I should go back and watch them. Matter of fact, I should. Uh, but just going off of what it says here, don't get trapped in the further as terrifying demons try to ensnare you. The red-faced demon will lure you into his lair behind the red door, so he can possess your living body, and Keyface will unlock your fears with his key-tipping fingers to keep your soul trapped in the further forever. So I'm guessing we're going to be having some dude with like keys for his fingers.
Yeah, that's if you see the trailer, that's what it shows in like the dressing room.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's a supernatural suspense. That's good enough for me.
Yeah, note to self, check up on the movies.
Yeah.
So this one still remains undecided. But now we're moving on to the original houses. The first one we have is Monstral. Uh,
Monstruos.
Monstros.
You want me to take
yeah,
over this one?
Yeah.
seeing how you're
Monstros.
the. Yes, please.
Monstros, the monsters of Latin America, and I'm very excited because this seems to be the same one they had in Hollywood.
Yep, this is coming to Orlando. I saw footage of it. The costume design and the amount of like actual scares in the house look pretty sweet. So it might be a sneaky favorite for some people.
Fun fact: the Hollywood is actually getting the sequel to this house, so we're getting the first one. They're getting the sequel.
Okay.
Yeah, Kurt, have you been to this house since it was in California?
Yeah, this is the one they had last year, right?
Yeah.
Actually, that one didn't do much for me. It
Really?
didn't. It didn't. And believe it or not, it wasn't just me, because that was the house that had a line that was like 15 minutes or less the entire night. For
Okay.
some reason, it did not seem to. Basically, towards the end of the night, it was walk on. It's the only house I've
Ooh.
ever seen that was walk on.
That's
So
not a
I
good
did. I
sign.
did. Yeah, I did it like. I did it once early in the evening because the line was without my express pass. I just because the regular line was so short. I said, okay, I'll save my express and do it a second time. So I had like a 5 minute wait to get through the first time. So I came back later, had a bit of a line, went through express, did it again, and then came back at the end of the evening, and there was zero wait. So I just did it again. So this one, even though this one was at the front of the park, it should have had a long line, but it just didn't resonate with people.
I do wonder if they're going to add on to it because Universal Orlando is such a bigger park
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't
that
know.
I
If
wonder if they're going to.
it didn't do much for me. It didn't. It seemed the rooms seemed to be more like more of the same. It's the usual. You go from one room to another. There's a lot of entrail, fake entrails hanging from the
Right.
ceiling, kind of thing.
Mhm.
It says, okay, well, I've seen that before. What else are we gonna do? Kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't do much. They had like one of the monsters was kind of a big animatronic thing. That was kind of okay, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
this one like not obviously a strong recommendation from Kurt, but like I said, I do wonder if they're going to add on to it, make it bigger, just because again, Orlando's a much bigger park, and just like with Hollywood, Florida does have a big Spanish population, so I'm pretty sure the representation, they're going to appreciate. And to be fair, like bring it on. Let's bring in folklore from other countries by all means. I'm all for it. Anything that can give me a good scare, I'm all for. Uh, except for McKinney Manor, which we know is just bullshit anyway.
Yep. we don't need that in Horror Nights. No, thank you.
But anyway, moving on, we got Slaughter Cinema 2.
Yeah.
See, if you're dying for a B movie horror marathon, head to the Carrie Drive-In Scream Through scenes from creatures, features grindhouse gore, spaghetti western, and more. Does anybody remember the first time they did Slaughter Cinema?
Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about this house.
Oh, you're,
Oh,
you're
I don't.
actually asking me. You're
Yes.
actually
I
asking
don't.
about.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember this one.
Okay, so Slaughter Cinema, as the name entails, you're basically going to this drive-in theater to watch B horror movies. Like the first one had this one called the Demon Sorority Sisters, where like basically the sororities were, I think, sacrificing people to summon a demon Cthulhu. There was one, if I remember correctly, called Demon Baby, where there was basically this baby in a cage and it was the demon. There was like a whole cult thing because there were people in hoods. There was like called one, I think it was called like Slaughter Barbershop, where basically it's like, hi, you want to shave? And blood was squirted out of the dummies. There was also another room called like Werewolf Biker. Again, I can't remember the exact title, but they were like titles of the movies that you were going through, and this was Werewolf Biker. So basically, you were in a biker bar, and the bikers were werewolf. There was another one called like I think it was something like Shitty Kids or Demon Kids and Chuck E. Cheese. It was basically like a Chuck E. Cheese type restaurant, and the kids would come out and say, "I want cake," and then stabbing one of the people on the table. And
Okay.
Just like
then
a real kid.
So it's a more
there
of a
was
comedic
one
house.
that, yeah, and this one I remember there was cannibal Amazon woman in space or something like that. It was basically these women with like a horror face, and they were like Amazonians but cannibal in space. And there was another one I cannot remember the name of it, but it's literally, let's say, similarities to Critters. I will say that if you can look up
Mhm.
footage of this on your own time, if you look at specifically that room, it looks like a Critters continuation. But if you love classic B movies, those movies that are not the best, but like Sci-Fi Channel and stuff like that, you're gonna have fun with this house. Especially if you already did the first one, you already know what to expect. So I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna look at
I don't know if I've
footage.
ever seen it, but I like the concept though.
Yeah, because honestly, like whether you love B movies or not, like some of the stuff is so ridiculous that it is funny. But you don't even have to so much as watch the movie; just read the title. It is just hilarious.
Yeah, and some of them, I mean, if some of those B horror movies, they have some pretty good surprises in them. They have like good jump scares and some unexpected gore and stuff, and really over the top things happen. Decapitations and dismemberments and all sorts of crazy things going on.
So yeah, so this sounds promising. Daniel, what say you?
Yeah, I like a good anthology of stuff. Why not? Bring it on. It's just very self. It sounds very self-aware, and maybe it'll tickle at a different sorts of horror and different sorts of um, cliches of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
bring it. I love it
Yeah,
when.
so that sounds good. But this next one here, again, it's one of those. Why didn't I think of that situations? The Museum of Deadly Exhibits. You decide to visit the new folklore museum exhibit, The Rotting Stone, when evil escapes from within, destroying everything in its path. How did I not think to put, a horror setting in a museum? It's
Yeah.
a gold mine.
Yeah, the
I
old
mean, it's
haunted or
pretty
the
much
possessed artifacts.
it's basically Night at the Museum horror edition.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Yeah,
Uh, di-
that sounds good.
didn't we have like the mummy kind
Very
of take
good.
place in museum kind of scenes? So I'm curious what sort of exhibits were going to be on display and what references they can kind of get away with here. Um, since it's giving me a little bit of vibes of like the whole that prison one we had a couple years ago, which wasn't that well
Oh
received.
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but we'll see if
So
this does it better. Like it's probably going to play on a lot of things that look still, and when you get close, scare or something like that. Just to really mess with your perception of things.
Yeah, and they can invent virtually anything, right? Because just about any kind of ancient artifact could theoretically be possessed or cursed or something.
hmm
Absolutely.
But I do. What I'm wondering though is if they're going to do something similar to a night at the museum, where you first walk in, it seems cool, it seems fine, then they close for the night and they accidentally lock you inside. and that's when everything comes to life.
I kind of hope
So,
I kind of hope there's actually scenes where you have to kind of slow down and just let the room progress naturally. Like remember in the bug house, that whole first scene where she's like
hmm
demoing the whole product, and then things go
yep.
wrong. That's like a whole 15-second scene that just goes on loop, and I think that's cool. I think I
Yeah.
want to see more of that, um, where it kind of encourages like replay stuff because you get like story beats right there before you make your way through. Um, Although this seems like an active museum rather than an abandoned one, so we might have some campy there with like tour guides, like "Come in, step inside. This is our brand new exhibit from Egypt or whatever."
But if you
It's
remember when we had Tim Bernardi on, he was talking about how with every attraction, it's always something goes wrong. It's never everything goes fine.
because that's boring.
Right. It's boring.
Okay, moving on. We have Major Sweets Candy Factory. You've been invited to chaperone a field trip to a candy factory, but this sweet tour is about to turn sour when free samples transforms the kids into candy-coated killers wielding sharpened candies. So basically, it's Deadly Sour Patch Kids.
Sounds like more scary than I mean more silly than scary, but okay.
I mean, it sounds scarier than Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
Uh,
This is a continuation in a way from Scare Zone they had not last year but the year of Mayor Sweet. That
mhm.
was the in New York.
Yeah, Scare Zone turn
Oh yeah,
house.
yeah, that's right. I remember that. I But yeah, obviously there's potential there because I do know when the first Wonka movie came out. Well, you can even count the remake in this one. That there was always that sense of wondering, like, wait, is this guy like really trying to like kill kids or something? And the other thing too is the fact that you're a chaperone at a field trip.
Yeah,
So,
so the kids are gonna automatically hate you for just being their chaperone or something.
I don't know. It's
or are
it's
we supposed to be the kids?
yeah, I don't know.
Are we the kid?
It sounds more silly than scary to me. Maybe, there might be some good, you know, gore effects. I think because people are going to get stabbed and with candy in bizarre ways.
Yeah, there might
You know,
be. There might
Well,
be.
well,
It could
to,
also be like one of the weaker houses, but I don't want to
yeah.
prejudge.
The, off the top of my head, this is looking like it's going to be one of the weaker ones.
well, to be fair though, I am diabetic, so sugar is kind of scary to me.
Oh,
It's
but
your
you're such a
fear.
sweetheart.
Oh, shut
Ha.
up.
You're your own diabetic.
Okay, moving on. We have Goblin Feast.
Dungeons and
Visit
Dragons night, calling it.
visit a goblin village where hordes of bloodthirsty goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, and witches would love to have you for dinner.
Yeah.
Now, this one, uh, I'm I don't know if this would be considered insensitive of me to say, but I'm kind of hoping that they'll have dwarf actors as goblins.
I'm sure they
To,
can find
to
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember I got disappointed when last year we had the Chucky houses. I was expecting to see little people actors dressed up as Chucky, committing these crimes, but instead we got the actual doll, which to be fair, it was pretty creative. But still, having something that small running around that wants to kill you, I think is scarier.
What you
Your
got there,
roll is
roll?
18, so you don't do much damage. Sorry.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, we're talking about goblins and witches and stuff. You can't expect me not talk about D&D in here.
That's fair. That's fair.
he's,
It
he's
might
got
be.
a point.
I mean, it's easily going to be like a dark fantasy sort of thing, some classic. Maybe they'll have some orc designs that are just generally scary. I don't know.
I mean,
This is the least. This
it,
is the house that with like the least behind it. It seems very basic in structure, but
I'm,
I hope it's fun.
It
I
doesn't have
mean,
much of a backstory, does
No.
it?
no, it doesn't. I mean, we're down to the last house, and it seems like the further down the list you go, the less descriptive the houses get. But the other thing is that I don't think it could be any worse than, and it really pains me to say this, but it can't be worse than Dueling Dragons.
Did
Just
you did you put that house as like one of your lowest houses? I think I put
yeah,
mine.
because I wanted to see dragons, but instead we got like their armies like dressed up in something.
Yeah.
I wanted like anthropomorphic dragons to jump out and scare me.
Yeah, that would have been cool. But it does fit
Yeah.
in with the lore because it's supposed to be a magical battle and then they become the dragons. Um, but either way, yeah, I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed all the lighting effects in that house. And
I mean,
also always getting a good ending. The 5 or 6 times I walked through it.
I got the same ending every time. You win. Like I want to see the losing one. Come on.
Yep.
Like the one time you want to be a loser.
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating when you have multiple endings and you can't get to see them all.
But anyway, we're down to our last house here. Triplets of Horror. You're invited to the Barmy's Triplets birthday bash, but beware this they celebrate by recreating their family's murders. Prepare for a gory gathering. Well, that's one way to celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, I guess.
I
This-
mean, cake, ice cream, pinata, presents. No, let's celebrate the day we got to kill our family.
Yeah, murder! Yay!
This might be just the house going for shock and gore factor rather than other forms of scares.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't know what to get from this house.
it's hard. It's hard to tell. It's another one sentence description with no real backstory.
It's like how I felt about the
there's-
Yeti house. Like it was very.
Yeah, there's clearly not gonna be a lot of depth to it, but like you say, it could be good on gore and jump scares.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Just like with the
Yeah.
Yeti house last year, I didn't think much going into it, and it ended up being my number 3 house of the night. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, so all in all, and for what I understand, they haven't even announced all the houses. Like, there's like maybe
One
one or
more.
two left.
Just one more.
And yeah, and I know you're hoping it's going to be Five Nights at Freddy's.
That'd be cool.
I am, but I don't know. Like I think they might just do Universal Monsters.
Yeah,
they
you're right,
should-
because they actually.
They've done it every year.
They should do Five Nights at Freddy's. That movie made a lot of money.
Definitely. I mean, not only that, but also just, Kurt, I know this show was before your time, but when we were kids, there was this popular Nickelodeon show called Are You Afraid of the Dark? It was like Twilight Zone for kids. And honestly, the movie felt like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? That's one of the things I appreciated about it. I mean, yeah, it wasn't what I would hoped it would be, but towards the end when things started picking up, I'm like, you better bring that back for the sequel or make it bigger. So, and not to mention, like we've all seen animatronics before, and especially when they're turned off, sitting there in the dark, you're kind of just like waiting for them to just turn and look at you.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for you.
What the possessed
5 hours later.
animatronic.
It's like 5 hours later. I know you're gonna do it.
Yeah, we'll see.
So-
I mean, it would definitely be a huge draw if they do get FNAF, but I'm sure it's a lot of
Yeah.
legality. But wait, who made that? Blumhouse, was it?
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse, yeah.
Well, they already have Insidious in there, so it shouldn't be that hard to grab the rights. And I'm sure
Mhm.
the creator of FNAF would be thrilled to have a haunted house based off his property. But
Mhm.
we'll see.
So, okay. So with all this said, on a scale of 1 to 10, like how excited are you for Horror Nights? So do you think it's gonna be better than last year?
Well, without Last of Us there, it's like my huge draw. It's hard, but I like a wild card being surprised. But we get the Ghostbusters house, and that's
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
Mhm.
That could be a big one.
Yeah, Ghostbusters,
Mhm.
Slaughter Cinema, and probably the museum one are probably my top 3 that I'm looking forward to. Maybe A Quiet Place.
I'll give you that.
I'm intrigued. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by A Quiet Place. I really want to see what they're going to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
That could be if they can pull off something unique there. That's different. That's not the usual, 110 decibel haunted house that you always ever get there. That one, and they can make it work. I'm all for it. If they can do something, totally different like that and pull it off, great.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued as what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, so definitely looking forward to it.
Aw.
That museum house, at least out of all the originals, that's the one I'm looking forward to the most. Like, you have my attention here. Out of the
Yeah.
popular IPs, Yeah, definitely Frozen Empire. Uh, Part of me is kind of hoping that we'll see people dress up as like the original and the new Ghostbusters, just to put a little extra icing there on the cake. But I am
Yeah,
expecting to see some good effects in that Ghostbusters house.
yeah. I want to see a
Mhm.
good, decent practical effect of some scare actors getting frozen. I want to see that. So that one, so the ones that intrigue me, obviously, The Quiet Place really intrigues me. Ghostbusters could be really good. Even though I don't know Insidious, it looks like it could be good because demonic, evil spirit stuff is always good. What the hell? The Slaughter Cinema catches my interest just because of the campiness and just the horror. The museum is good. And the last three on the list, those kind of look like filler to me. The Major Suites, the Goblin Feast, and the Triplets of Terror. Although the Triplets of Terror might be good, but they kind of look like those kind of look like the filler houses to me.
The triple threat, I kind of like the whole idea where creating their murder, like they couldn't process their family's murder, so they only able to kill people in recreating of their family murder. It feels like an episode.
Mhm.
Is anyone
Yeah,
noticing we're all kind of breaking off a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, a little. Yeah, but I think Triplets could be fun. I mean, if they pull it off right, we'll see.
Mhm.
We'll see.
None of them
But
looks like to be like the set design house. There's always one of those houses every year from the originals. So we'll see which one will just like surprise everybody, in a good or bad way.
I feel like if
I-
I have to guess, Mayor Suites, Goblin Feast, and Triple Terrors might be the treehouse tours, and then Museum, Slaughter Cinema, Monstros, Insidious, Ghostbusters, and maybe Quiet Place will be the six house tour.
Possibly.
Mhm.
Okay.
I
I,
bet I could be wrong.
I
We'll see whenever they announce it. The last house.
No show
So
announcement
now,
either.
well,
We have no show announcement as well, so we're still waiting
Yeah,
on that.
I was going to ask that. So it doesn't say anything on the website about if they're doing Nightmare Fuel again or doing something different.
The theater's closed.
There is going to be some sort of show, I believe. That's at least what everyone is talking about, on blogs and stuff. Whatever
Yeah.
show that is. And since we have the new Lagoon show, there's a chance they're already been working on a night version of.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
again,
it just says on the website outrageous live entertainment, but it doesn't get more specific than that. And there are
well,
there's five sinister scare zones, and there's another one for outrageous live entertainment. Okay.
okay, sure. Yeah, we'll go with that.
But
But
I do want to. I wasn't a huge fan of Nightmare Fuel, but I do want a stage show.
mhm.
I enjoy that. It's a nice way to round out the night.
Well, they do have the
I-
homemade
Okay,
group
so, yeah.
theater. They can still
I'm
use that
slightly
theater.
the opposite of you, Kurt. I love the Nightmare Fuel show. Especially I met the team who's the performers of those shows, and I've kept up with them after the show, and they're really great people.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
But keep in mind, Kurt, like you've seen this stuff before. Most people haven't. Okay, not many people can be a man of the world here.
Yeah. Well, it's just I'm a diehard Bill and Ted's fan. Sorry. I miss Bill and Ted's. I don't care how dated it is. I just don't care.
I still stand by the fact that they should do a reunion tour, like a reunion show, like even if it's only for 1 year and they don't come back, they should do a reunion tour.
I just liked it because it was the same idea, but it was a completely different show every year. They didn't repeat the show, and I always loved that they always got the digs in at Disney. Every time they did it, they had something to dig at Disney at, which is always nice.
Which we'll save at the end of this.
Yeah, I think it was the year of 2014, 2015, whenever I think the attraction where you can meet Anna and Elsa, and they made a joke of Frozen where Anna comes out. It's like, you can meet my sister by waiting 300 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what else I noticed from this
But
event?
at this point, though, Kurt, it is getting dated because at this point, 69 is about to become 96.
Yeah, it's a long time, but I know. I just like the show.
They
Whatever.
should bring
But
it back, like I said, 1 year reunion tour. Come on, other bands are doing farewell tours and stuff.
Okay, so but keeping the Universal train going here, we are getting closer to Epic Universe as well.
Let's go.
Yeah, I saw the model they had on display there. I couldn't get the whole AR thing to work on my phone, but just looking at this thing, dear God, it is enormous.
Yeah,
And
and there's a
according
lot of roller
to
coasters.
reports that came out officially by, I think, Orlando Informer or one of those reports, they expanded with the county of Florida to even get bigger.
Ooh. But there are some concerns though floating around about it, and I even showed you guys the video from Clownfish TV about this, where you might have to buy a 3-park pass to get in.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't think we can draw too many conclusions because like I think I said in the video that promotion was being floated out to like travel agents and stuff for certain vacation packages, so that may only apply to those packages, and not to general public that just wants to go buy a ticket on their own. So that might be different. I think it's too early to draw conclusions, but I think one thing I am fairly certain of is that you will not be able to get in there with an annual pass. So I guarantee you that if you have an existing universal annual pass, it will not work there at all because it wasn't advertised that it would. So you're not really losing anything. If you bought a universal pass thinking it would get in you, then you were very mistaken and you didn't read the website very clearly because you have no business thinking something like that.
Yep.
But I'm also certain they're not going to sell annual passes at all. Probably for at least the first 6 months, just because they can't have that many people coming through all the time.
Maybe the first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know how long it will take because Harry Potter died down when the first Harry Potter opened at Islands. It died down after about 6 months because I went in the fall. It opened like it opened like around Memorial Day, I think, as I vaguely remember that year. And when I was down in like October, I came down for the usual Halloween Horror Nights. It was livable. You could get in and you could do stuff.
Okay.
According
to the Universal Florida opened the Wizarding World in 2010, June 18th.
Yeah. Okay, so a little later, a little after Memorial Day. Yeah. Yeah, but I remember by fall it was livable. It was crowded, but you could actually do the experiences, get on the rides. So I'm hoping within 6 months. I'm hoping within 6 months. You'll be able to get in to Epic. I think I'm thinking 6 months they'll start selling passes.
So what should they do for crowd control? Because I know that's the major deal here is crowd control.
Well, they've got to go with date-based ticketing, right? You can't sell, you just can't sell tickets and not know when people are going to show up, right? With a park like that. So they're going to have to sell date-based tickets, and exactly how they do that though is unknown. I mean, I know what I would do if I were running the parks, but I'm not running the park, so.
Don't tell me to
wait. In your scenario, you're one of the people that are handling this. How would you?
If I were in charge of Universal making decisions, what I would do is that the people at the front of the line are the hotel guests.
Yes.
If you're in a Universal, at least if you're in any of the premium hotels like the on-site Helios, if you're in that hotel or any of the premium hotels, you're allowed to buy tickets to Epic for your entire length of stay. So you basically reserve a block of tickets for all your hotel guests so they can get in, they can do Epic as much as they want. Because that's your benefit for paying all that extra money to stay at a Universal hotel. So that's a block. So that block of tickets goes to them. Then for all the remaining tickets, you figure out whatever the park capacity is, and this is how many tickets we can sell per day. You do day-based tickets. What I would do then is I would do a pre-sale for your die-hard Universal fans, which are your pass holders. So I say, okay, everybody who's a Universal pass holder, we're gonna have a pre-sale event, and you're gonna have the option to buy a small number of tickets. You can buy like 1 or 2 days for yourself, and you're allowed to bring like one guest with you.
You're plus one.
No more than that because you just don't have enough tickets. And you do a pre-sale, and you see how many you sell, and that goes first. And you have like a week to do the pre-sale, just like a concert ticket. Like a concert, the diehard fans always get first dibs. Then when the pre-sale is over, you open to the general public, and you sell the remaining tickets. And I might do this a month or two at a time. So you do like if it's going to open, let's say it opens Memorial Day, you do a pre-sale and you sell tickets for the month of June, and then maybe partway through June you start the pre-sale for July, or maybe you do the summer. I'm not exactly sure of the right quantity to open up at once, but that's the way I would do it. Hotel guests, priority access. Then you give a pre-sale to pass holders that want to get in a ticket. Then you do the general public after that. Then at the appropriate point, you just watch and see what happens with these sales, right? You see how fast the tickets are selling, and that tells you when you can stop doing the date-based tickets and just go back to the way they do Universal and Islands now. You just show up and buy a ticket, and that's when you can have your new multi-park annual passes become available at that point.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to roll it out. Let people kind of whet their appetite.
Right.
But that's basically teetering on close on how the way Disney did park reservations. But it might be a necessary evil just to limit crowd control, because
there's going to be too many people that are going to want to go there. They only got so much capacity.
Yep.
And you don't. The last thing you want to do is have people buy tickets, book a vacation, and then show up at the gate and say, "Oh, you can't come in. We're at capacity. Sorry, come back another day." He says, "No, I booked a vacation.
Right.
You can't tell me. You can't tell me come back another day." And that's unfortunately that's why you got to do the date-based tickets. So you have to be able to buy a ticket and know you can come in, because otherwise you're booking a vacation to Florida and you can't know if you can do anything.
What about this? Because someone else brought this up to me. One person thinks it'll take people away from Universal and Islands.
Yeah, I think certainly the out of town visitors. Those of us who are pass holders would go there, obviously.
Yeah. Pass holders and locals, of course, will still go to Universal and stuff, because
I think
it'd be the best time to go.
I think maybe even more so because Epic is going to be crowded. Probably the first 6 months, so those parks might be empty. You go have a good time.
Exactly.
5 minutes on the money. Yeah, all right.
Frankly, I thought I would think that would be a pretty good problem to have. That kind of shows the popularity of your park there.
Yeah.
But there's a friend of mine that I know from work named Brad who has never stepped foot on Universal, either park whatsoever. However, when he's such a huge Danny Elfman fanboy that when he found out he's doing the music for the for the Dark Universe, he goes, "When's it opening?"
We should talk about Dark Universe.
And speaking of Dark Universe, one thing I got we'll talk about Dark Universe in a sec, but I need to show this because I actually got this while I was there.
That's big. What is that?
Whoa, Dark Universe.
And get this, it glows in the dark.
Love it.
What is it? I can't see. What is it?
It's a blanket.
Oh, it's a blanket. Oh my god. It's
yeah.
huge.
Yeah. And it is comfortable to sleep on.
So you need blankets in Florida very much?
Oh, I never said that I sleep under them. I sleep on top of them, man.
Okay.
But anyway, yes, Dark Universe. You were saying, Kurt.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. There's people are talking about the main dark ride. What's it called? Monsters Unleashed? Is that I got that right?
Hold on. Let me look at the official announcement by Universal.
Yeah, but people are talking about that as being the scariest dark ride in the theme park.
In theme parks.
Yeah.
Monster Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment, according to the Orlando Weekly.
Yeah. So if that's really going to be the scariest dark ride ever in a theme park, I'm all for it.
Yeah, but they have to account for, I don't know. It's difficult. You don't want to make a ride too scary to drive people away, but at the same time, it would make it that much more engaging for the diehards and keep your base happy. So
yeah, certainly for the older audience. Not everything can be for the kids, right? They just opened a whole area, at Universal Studios for the kids, with the DreamWorks characters, and that's great and all. But we can have things for the adults too.
That's right. That's right.
According to the announcement video, they said that they wanted to make it scary, or as scary as they wanted to make it scary. They didn't want to make it rated R. According to the announcement, they wanted to make it as scary as they could on a PG-13 level, which still means they still want to scare their guests. They know that there's people that stuff for kids, but there's also stuff for adults and older generation.
Right.
And
So
from what I
I
understand,
also,
like well, from what I understand, like the windmill they have there is supposed to actually get set on fire like at night.
periodically, it's supposed to the windmill veins or whatever you call it, are supposed to burst into flames periodically. It's like the dragon that breathes fire
Every 15 minutes, roughly.
Yeah. So I think it temporarily bursts into flames. Like I don't know what the interval is going to be, but it's not going to be continuous because that would be too expensive on the fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that in their announcement. They also announced that Haber is gonna have some, Monster Hunter, and the fact that when they were showing this in the announcement video, I was thinking this is the perfect place to have a D&D campaign. Like if you're into that, it feels like the perfect place to have like a short D&D campaign because of course you can't stay there, forever.
Of course
But
not.
but
Yeah, they want
it
to sell
feels
more
like
books.
if you coordinate well enough, you can set up like a decent sized campaign there as long as I'm guessing they don't kick you out and stuff. Or it could be like I don't know how they're gonna do it. It could be like Olga's Cantina.
Well, you might be able to LARP a little bit, like really talk in character with everyone there, and just really get it backstory. Like this is their baby. This is their experimental land that is not entirely based in one IP. It's a universe. It's a dark universe, and I'm really curious to see what they're gonna do, just for the general lore and just what we can explore. Like,
And the fact that they said that all the movies within the universe, not like other companies, but within the Universal movie, Frankenstein, Dracula, their films, all of that is canon. Like all the events happen, and this is like the results of those events.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good.
yeah, like it might shape up to be one of the best lands, if not the best land at the park, just based on detail. Like the inside of that restaurant, you get like a little portal to the underground slash hell. It's like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a Dark Souls game now. Just oh, I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
at
like, I like the fact it's called the steakhouse, as in steak through your heart.
and you
Yeah,
get steak on
and
steaks.
then you can get steak
the
on
steakhouse
steak.
that's their steak. It's both sense of steak. That's clever.
And let's see, we also have the Isle of Burke coming there because Kurt, you and I were really big fans of How to Train Your Dragon. We even actually went to the arena show.
Yeah, still am. I'm looking forward to see what that live show is. I'm hoping that it borrows heavily from what the arena show was.
I hear nothing
Yeah,
but
and
praise at the Beijing
and
version.
I'm still wondering whatever happened to that arena show because it went over to China and just never came back.
It fizzled here in the U.S. for whatever reason. I don't know if they didn't promote it right or they didn't put it out at the right time. I don't know exactly what went wrong with that. I heard other people were saying that the flying rig that they had to suspend from the ceiling, limited it because the rig was so heavy they could only put it in certain arenas, and so they couldn't show it everywhere they wanted to. I'm not really sure if it's true or not. It seems to me I'm a little skeptical of that rumor because it seems to me they would have planned better. I mean, surely if you're going to run a show like that,
Right.
surely you're going to look around and see what the average arena can support before you go and design something. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? That seems. I'm having a little trouble buying into that. I think they either screwed up the advertising, or they didn't get it out at the right time. They didn't, strike while the iron is hot, kind of thing. I don't know, but it really fizzled. The show without it. I love the show, but objectively, you have to say it fizzled here in the U.S. Because when I went to see it here in the San Francisco Bay Area, the arena was like, I don't know, only about 60% of the seats were taken.
Ooh.
Yeah, so they were having a lot of trouble selling tickets. That should have been full. I don't understand why it wasn't full.
I'm looking up information of that live show, not the one that's in Beijing, but it says it has tour dates in Australia, and it came in the U.S. and they only were in Chicago, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin. So, which state is SK? Do you guys know?
Which what?
SK. Which state is the initial SK?
State?
Uh,
I don't know.
Anyways,
I know.
They never completed the U.S. tour because there's something like 70 cities originally announced, and they only did like half of them. So there's something clearly went wrong.
Yeah, it's a
But
real
anyway,
shame too.
so yeah, that was a real bummer. But hopefully they figured something out that they can do at the amusement park. Sort of like the way the Bourne Stunt Spectacular clearly works. That is like almost full every time I go. That is nearly full to see that. So
Yeah,
that
definitely.
clearly works. I'm hoping they've captured something like that will work on a multiple time a day daily basis. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got there. That could be a lot of fun.
And of course, we also have Super Mario World coming, which which I know two of you guys got a chance to experience.
Well, it's the small version. The Hollywood version is smaller than what Orlando gets. So yeah.
I mean, and Hollywood only has the ride. It doesn't even have the Yoshi attraction.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but with the Mario Kart attraction, like I know a lot of it is done with AR, but doesn't it feel a little odd when you're seeing all this this high fast moving action through your glasses, but you're like barely moving?
Yeah, it works though. You don't notice that you're barely moving.
Yeah,
it
really.
Surprising. Yeah, the cars move extremely slowly, but there's so much stuff going on through the augmented reality and the other pieces of the sets. Because there's screens on the sets that have a lot of stuff going on too, and between all that together, it seems like you're going a lot faster than you really are.
Yeah, you get wind in your face.
You have my attention.
You gotta turn your wheel.
Yeah, right. And they have there's sections of the ride where the whole wall in front of you is a screen, and if you watch the video, you're speeding along on that screen, even though your car is hardly moving. It kind of gives you this really nice illusion that you're speeding and you're going around curves and stuff. So it works. It does. It surprised me, but it actually works.
Okay, you have my attention. I gotta see this now.
Yeah,
or experience it.
Yeah, it's pretty. I thought it's a lot. It's fun, and because it's a game as well. It's rewritable.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Of course, we also have. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
Your team needs 100 coins to beat Team Bowser aggregate. So you got to collect your coins. You got to not hit your teammates because you lose coins that way. And you got to actually make your turns and hit the Koopalings. So there's a lot going on that ride. Plus, you also have the physical sets that you can gawk at that actually have some moving elements. And they do a really good job. Like, there's this giant piranha plant, looks pretty sweet. The thwomp, little wiggler there. It's neat. And a giant flaming Bowser statue later on too.
It's fun. Fun ride.
And of course we have Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to we have the whole Orlando's getting the whole Donkey Kong section too.
Japan also has that attraction.
Yeah.
Because Kurt, I know you haven't played at least those particular Donkey Kong games, but whenever you get to do a minecart level, those were always a lot of fun because they were intense. And the fact that they built the track to make it seem, and also you have to jump over gaps, with this thing, and the fact that you're riding on a faux track to make it seem like if you're completing these jumps, I'm like, bravo.
Yes. Yeah, that is. I mean that is beyond augmented reality, right?
That's practical. That's what that is.
that is great. I mean, who doesn't want to do that, right?
My mother.
Yeah, well, maybe people hate roller coasters, I guess. But that I saw that they're gonna have this simulated track jumping and over obstacles. So I was like, yeah, bring it on. Who doesn't want that?
Also, I hear no screens on that ride. It's all practical effects.
Oh, cool.
Oh. But what's this other world they have there? Because there's one world that's going to be there that is not based on any IP.
Which one?
It has something to do with... it's not Dark Universe. It's not Mario. It's not Burke. It's not...
Harry Potter?
It's not Harry Potter.
You mean Celestial Park?
Celestial Park.
Yes. Yeah, what is the... What's the deal with that? Because it's not based off anything.
It's the lore of the
based off the whole idea of celestial space, because of course the hotel is called the Helios. So the whole idea is space, as Andromeda and stuff like that, because the main coaster of that place is called Stardust Racers.
Yep, had to change the name.
And then the whole idea, of course, is that that's the center of the park, because you're entering the Chronosphere, which is the main entry point, and then you go into the other portals into these other, I think they call the dimensions, other areas. So that's how you get to through the portals. And Celestial Park is supposed to be like a
Yeah.
mini city, not mini city walk, but it's basically gonna have restaurants, shops, and it's gonna have attractions. One of them is the Stardust Racer Coaster, and the other one is gonna be the carousel, the Celestial Carousel.
Right. Yeah, it's basically a hub for the rest of the park. Is the way I look at it. It's a hub with rides.
It's the port of entry on steroids.
Yeah.
And it also fits in
The
thematically.
roller coaster looks really good.
Yeah, honestly, like, I wish I could dive in head first into this park, but I know, like you, Kurt, I'm probably gonna have to wait like 6 months before I can step foot in there.
Yeah.
And not watch videos.
I'm probably not. I'm probably going to postpone Orlando trips for a while after this park opens, because my current pass expires, I think, like April 1st. So I'm just going to let it expire, and I'm not going to buy another pass until they offer passes to Epic, whenever that is.
Smart idea.
Yeah, that's. So yeah, there might be a good 6 to 8 months that I'm not coming down to Orlando for a little bit, but that's okay. There's other amusement parks in the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and speaking of other amusement parks, it's now time for our dose of Dismal Disney.
Oh no.
Hey, that's copyrighted. That's copyrighted by Clownfish.
Yeah,
I know, I'm stealing it.
Love it.
But because they did open Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and now I will say, I was actually all for this change when it was first announced, because regardless of whatever you think of the politics of Song of the South, it was still dated. And I thought, hey, I mean, Tiana's located in the Bayou, that's still the South. And, I can only imagine how much fun it would be if they actually had Dr. Falsier on there singing his song, especially when you're about to go down the hill, like, I got friends on the other side.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have seen that, but unfortunately, that's not what we got.
No. We got it violates the core principle of ride. Something's supposed to go wrong and make you have an adventure. Like, nothing really goes wrong on this ride. We're supposed to be getting together, a critter band for whatever, and that's kind of all we do. Okay?
Party time. That's it.
Yeah. We're preparing for a party. Ooh, that's exciting. Ooh.
I mean, even making Runaway Railway, you have a problem because you're detached from Goofy and stuff. So at least even that ride.
Yeah, things go wrong right away. Yeah.
And now, and to be fair, none of us have been on it, and I do get what people are saying, and they are right. There is a big difference between seeing it on a video and experiencing it. It's the whole reason I managed to get Kurt to go to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and he's seen them twice now.
Yep.
So yeah, they're definitely right. But so I will say, at least with what we'll call a video judgment, it doesn't look very good. And our friend Evan, who actually does work at Disney, he even said it's not very good. But to be fair, he doesn't really like log flume rides in general, because to him, you just go up and you go down. That's it. However,
oversimplifying, but yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So Kurt, why don't you actually explain, what in actuality, what log flumes are, what they're supposed to be?
Well, primarily to get you wet ride. I mean, that was one of the inceptions for it. And
yeah, but when
it's a roller coaster type ride with water, basically gives you a roller coaster effect.
Yeah, but when you look at, like, say, the log flume rides, like at Busch Gardens, that's basically the bare bones of it. You just go up and you go down. But Splash Mountain, they offered so much more. You said it was based off of.
It has a story. That's when you get into the theme park realm, where they it's not just a ride; it's got a story in it as well. And that's what I think made Splash Mountain good. It had the most solid story of any log flume ride I've ever been on. There's there's like Valhalla at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which sort of has a lot of stuff going on inside. Not really sure exactly what the story was, but boy, do you get wet on that one. If you think you get wet on Splash Mountain, you get drenched on Valhalla. That's really a get you wet ride. But then there's the that I believe I read that the Disney Imagineers looked at quite a bit when they were designing Splash Mountain was the flume ride at Knott's Berry Farm. That was one of the early ones where they figured out, oh, we should put some figures and stuff inside the ride. And there's dark sections of that ride inside the mountain. So I think that clearly there was a lot of inspiration, I think, from Knott's Berry Farm that brought over to Splash Mountain that helped make it as good as it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I did try telling Evan that it's not so much the drop down that's the feature. It's what happens when you first go up and before you go down. It's everything there in the middle.
Yeah.
And what he came to the conclusion of why he doesn't like it is that it doesn't do anything new. Now he doesn't mean within the track layout. He means like within that section where you're supposed to see and experience things. They didn't do anything new. Which, going off the videos, do you think that's accurate thing to say?
Are you talking about Tiana's? Or are you talking about
yeah, Tiana's.
Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, it looks like. I mean, it's not really a rehash. It's not a rehash of the movie. It clearly is meant to take place after the movie.
Yep.
But yeah, there's nothing.
It is a continuation of the story.
Yeah, but you're right. And the problem is there's no conflict. You know. Okay, yeah, we're trying to get ready for a party is like the only conflict going on, and I kind of like it's not very interesting.
It seems like one really long, bloated epilogue that people don't really want to care about.
And they removed so many animatronic characters too. There was a lot more in there.
That's objective fact.
I don't really understand why they had to take so many out. I mean, I can understand why. Obviously, you got to take out Bear Fox, Bear Bear, and Bear Rabbit because they don't fit the story anymore. But why do you have to take out all the other ones? I don't quite get that. Because that's a lot of people are criticizing the ride is kind of like devoid of a lot of stuff. There's a lot of blank sections.
Yep.
As you go through the ride. It did used to be before. Because before, a lot of people don't know this, but the original Disneyland version of Splash Mountain, they actually reused the animatronic figures from another Disney attraction that was shutting down called America Sings. That had a lot. Yeah. I think up until that time or around that time, it had like the most animatronic characters of any attraction. I think World of Motion at Epcot, I think was the only one that eclipsed it. I have to check the statistics. I might not. Don't quote me on that, but I remember it's up there. It had America Sings had a lot of characters in it. There's an insane number of characters for a show. It was a really good show too for its time. There actually is video. It closed just about the time that consumer camcorders became available, and so we do have. Yeah, we are lucky enough to have a few fan-created video, in 480p, old. It's all shot in NTSC.
Gotta love it.
In the old days, but at least we have video of it. It would have been another lost attraction if it wasn't for a couple of these guests that had the very early and probably very expensive camcorders that went in there and filmed it. But yeah, they're on YouTube. You can just search for it. Look for America Sings. Wonderful show. Wonderful show created by legendary Mark Davis. One of the legendary animators from Disney. He also coincidentally worked on Song of the South.
Oh wow!
So
really?
He actually did the animation. A lot of people wonder how come the characters from America Sings fit in so well with Splash Mountain, which is Song of the South. Well, it's the same animator, right? He did he designed the characters and did the animation for the three Brer characters in Song of the South, and then he also did the character design for the characters in America Sings. So it's kind of his style. It's just kind of kept his style going along. That's why everything kind of fits together so well. But yeah, it was a wonderful attraction for its time. I miss that's one of the old Disney ones I really miss. But now I will say now I'm missing Splash Mountain. Gotta go to Japan if I want to experience Splash Mountain anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, and we also talk about the exterior, and I know some people have said, there's no mountain, there's no like mountains or hills like that in New Orleans. But but there's not really mountains like that in much of the South at all. I mean, unless you're like going to Texas, maybe.
Well, there's some. So, I mean, I've been around, traveled around Georgia. There's hills there.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. However, some people have said that it looks like a broccoli anus, which you can't unsee that now.
Oh
Yeah, I don't need
no.
that image.
Yeah, let's let's not. But
I'm, or like it kind of reminds them of that bushy figure of Moana at the very end of that movie.
yeah, that goddess. Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, I am still willing to go on it and check it out, but uh, it doesn't look promising.
No, it needs conflict. You know, they needed to have Dr. Facilier show up. In my opinion, he should have showed up and hijacked your log into the quote unquote other side. That would have made it interesting, right? And
Yeah,
they had the perfect spot for it, right? You got the drop into the laughing place, you know, where Brer Bear used to say, "There's nothing in here but bees," and you get that unexpected drop in the dark.
Yep.
Well, at that point, you know, Dr. Facilier could have shown up and be hijacking you, and then you go down, pulls you into the other side, and that whole area underneath which used to be the laughing place before you hit the main lift, that could be the other side, and all sorts of crazy voodoo stuff could be going on, and make it really interesting.
That would be nice, but
and then, you know, like Madam Odie shows up at the end to help you get out, and you're climbing up the lift hill to get you out of the underworld. That would make so much sense, right?
yeah, and why didn't they have Dr. Falsier in there again?
because they didn't.
There
Disney.
was
Oh, I can answer this real quick.
no, you go ahead.
Because Disney didn't want the controversy about misrepresenting voodoo and that whole culture, that whole sub-religion. Because there's people, there's people that,
bad.
yeah, like there's people that will see it and immediately demonize it. There's people that will support it. So there's no winning. Like you represent something like that, someone's going to get angry and someone's going to outrage over it. So
You have an entire movie literally called Princess and the Frog, which is what the ride is based off. So you already handled one aspect of the voodoo, which is he deals with the shadows, with the dark element. And if you really wanted to, also not even wanted to, freaking Mama Odie is the opposite end. She's the good end
she's
of
the good
voodoo.
voodoo. Yeah.
They're supposed to be yin and yang. So how can you say, oh, they don't want to misrepresent with voodoo and stuff? I will go back. Fuck. Can I curse? I forgot it. Can I drop
Sure,
an
go
F-bomb?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Drop an
Fucking
F-bomb.
Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You have a fucking man of Lord, who is then lusting after a woman to the point that he said he will commit genocide an entire country to be with this woman.
Yeah, there's been dark themes explored in the
Yeah.
past. It's just in
Yeah,
today's
I was always
culture.
surprised about that. That Hellfire scene, the whole song and everything. I always went, "Wow, this is Disney doing this? Wow, okay."
Yeah, Disney used to be badass, and now they're just afraid
Yeah.
to take risks because
Yeah.
they're like, okay, well, we want to make an excuse to not explore something they already explored in 2009. It's like, okay.
Ooh, somebody might get offended. Oh no.
I mean, too late. You already made that movie.
Yeah, I mean, they offended the wrong people. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
however,
we'll never see anything like that in a Disney movie again. That's for sure.
Not with this leadership.
well, probably not. But to be fair, Inside Out 2 is doing actually good.
Yeah, so I've actually seen it as a good movie.
Oh, you know what
I
that
remember
means?
that.
Say bye-bye to
remember.
Figment. They're just going to merge the two properties.
Oh,
Inside Out and Figment.
I've heard that. I've heard that rumor. I hope that it's not true.
Yep. It's
I
like,
mean, the thing is, if Figment can have a 3-hour popcorn bucket, they're gonna keep Figment because they know Figment makes the money with the fans of Disney.
no, I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
they're never going to get rid of Figment. They're just going to basically get rid of all the Dreamweaver stuff and just have Riley's mind, and then Figment's like a main character in there, just kind of messing with the
Yeah.
emotions. Which, I
Right,
mean,
yeah,
it wouldn't be the worst idea. I think that'd be cool, but to like the hardcore Disney fans, it's like, how dare you get rid of the Dreamweaver? Or they already did, but it's like, you keep Figment. It's like there's got to be a compromise because Disney's already said we want to put IPs everywhere. Animal Kingdom, bless your heart, you're about to go through a transformation I don't know you're going to recover from. Like this is
No.
this is going to be.
They should. Yeah, that's a whole other thing we should talk about. I mean, I don't want to. The Indiana Jones ride doesn't
It does
belong in
not.
Animal Kingdom.
I love
I'm
that ride.
really hoping it gets canceled. I really hope it's one of those projects they announce they're in doing pre-production. I honestly hope it gets canceled.
They're not going
I
to
would
because it's
nasty-
cheap.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was going to make. It's a cheap. It's right. It's a cheap relay. It's a reskin of an existing
Same
ride.
track layout, same ride
It's
system.
same track layout. That's the killer thing about. That's why it's so appealing to Disney management. It only cares about the bottom line numbers on the cost. They don't care if it's any good. They just it's a cheap thing they can do.
They don't want to tear out the whole building. They just want to tear down the outside and just replace all the effects. I mean, we're gonna get a better ride in the end, but at the same time, theme is important. Joe Rohde is like, what the hell, man?
It doesn't belong there.
Yeah, no wonder he left.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll cover that for another time. But it was really great getting back together to do this with you guys. It's great to have our streamcast back. And we got an exciting fall and winter to look forward to. So until next time, this is the Park Geeks signing off. Take care, everyone.
All right,
Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.